We're going to be asking 20 of the hottest property questions in this video, and I'm going to be shooting some Instagram reels and then giving you guys a deeper dive in the YouTube video around each of these questions. So let's kick off and run through these questions and smash them out one by one. Question number one, let's go. If you had to put a bet on it, what is the single most undervalued asset type in Australia at this point in time and why? I think it's land. Land is the scarce resource that you need to buy if you're looking to invest in the property market. The building that sits on top is what derives the yield. Look at locations in Sydney like Bondi and Coogee. Look in Brisbane at New Farm. Look at Melbourne at Toorak. These are the scarce resources, and you want to buy with good fundamentals, and land is going to do the heavy lifting. So buy houses on good size blocks with upside potential would be exactly where I spend my money in this market. And that's the truth, that's exactly what we do in the buyer's agency. We help people buy the right property for the right price in the right location. And that's why I think house and land always wins. Land is going to do the heavy lifting. Next question, let's go number 2. The next boomtown. Which specific city is flying under the radar at the moment and going to have major growth in the next 3 to 5 years? Well, this city is actually a major city, and we're going to be expanding the buyer's agency into this space in 2026, and that is the Melbourne market. I think Melbourne is going to have steady growth over the next 1 to 2 years, but will be the booming city in about 3 to 5 years. And as a buyer's agent, we want to ride that wave, and we focus on those major capital cities. And so when we look at Darwin or Perth or Adelaide, those locations I think are getting towards the end of their property clock. I think Brisbane is primed for another cycle, which is why I run a Brisbane buyer's agency. But the Melbourne and Victoria market will be the market in 3 to 5 years' time that is going to have a stronger comeback out of all the markets, in my opinion. And that's exactly why we are growing the buyer's agency. In 2026, we will be helping customers buy in the Melbourne market. And so we're not going to be just covering Brisbane, we're going to be covering 2 major cities, Brisbane and Melbourne. And I'm going to be putting my own money in that market myself to go out there and buy good quality assets with fundamentals. And we can do that for yourself if you're interested as a client too. Question number three. The interest rate dance. Where do we think interest rates will be by April 2026, so in about 6 months' time? I think, in my opinion, they shouldn't cut rates any further. And the reason is I think there's too much money in Australia's markets at this point in time. But in saying that, I think they will actually do one more rate cut between now and April 2026. So that's my hot tip in terms of interest rates. Now, interest rates are a hot topic, and I think the Reserve Bank is looking at the property market, seeing the rate of growth be so rapid, looking at the basket of goods, and I think they might cut rates twice, but they're more realistically only going to cut rates once more in the next 6 months. Are we living in a new normal? With work situations, do I think that stay-at-home work is going to be here forever? Well, I think it's going to be here to stay. The government tried to force people back into their offices, but this is not happening. People want lifestyle and choices, and working from home is a great choice for a lot of people. About 75% of jobs can be done as work from home. And so if you're an employee, push back on your boss. Say that you want those 2 days a week at home, because it's about creating a lifestyle that suits you, not your employer. And that's exactly what I've done the last 5 years. I run a business. This is my home studio. What a great space to spend my time in and create content and make client calls and build a business that's thriving and growing. We also have an office space, and I bought my very first commercial property, which is why you're watching the YouTube video, because I'm growing my property portfolio. I've got a $10 million residential asset base, and I just spent $1.1 million on an off-the-plan new build, which might surprise a lot of people, buying our commercial premises for our business for December 2026. And so I think for most Aussies, they get pushed back into the offices, but if you can, work from home because it gives you that flexibility and lifestyle. What is the biggest mistake that most property investors make that I see as an investor myself and a buyer's agent? The biggest thing, and this might surprise you, is actually inaction. The biggest mistake is doing nothing. If you sit on the sidelines, I can guarantee you will get no return. Whereas, yes, you might buy a bad property, you buy a dud, you've at least had the opportunity to create some wealth. And so the biggest mistakes that I see, I look at my best mate, unfortunately, I've encouraged him to buy a property the last 4 or 5 years. He's continued to sit on the sidelines while a lot of our clients have bought their first investment, maybe even bought their second or third investment and grown an asset base slowly over time. The reality is, in 5 years' time, when we look back on property prices, I believe that we're going to see today's market in 2025 look much cheaper than the market prices in 2030. And that's why I'm investing for the long term. And isn't that the truth? You know, property prices have always looked cheaper in the history, in the past. And so, unfortunately, yes, my best mate, he may watch this video and I love him dearly, but he has decided for whatever reason, lots of reasons, not to invest. And sitting on the sidelines has cost market growth over the last 4 or 5 years. But don't let that price memory rule you out from good decisions, good investing decisions in the future. And you don't have to have a multi-million-dollar property portfolio. 1, 2, or 3 assets in your asset base is going to make a monumental difference over a long period of time. So that's what I would encourage you. If you can get your foot in the door, start where you're at. Don't worry about where I'm at or where someone else is at that's got a 20, 30, $50 million portfolio. Focus on what you can control and not worrying about what's on YouTube or social media as far as other people and their property journey. What is a Goldilocks property? The ultimate unicorn when it comes to buying a property in Australia. Well, my opinion is a property with multiple levers. So I want to pull the lever, Kronk, and I don't just want one lever, I want multiple levers. I want land and location. I want a scarce asset. Then I want value add potential. So I want to be able to spruce the property up and increase the equity through renovations. Then the third lever is development or granny flat upside. And so this gives me land and location. It gives me renovation and forced value, and it gives me development or granny flat or strata upside potential. To me, that is the Goldilocks property. That is the unicorn that we buy for clients. They are out there. You may have to pay a slight premium to get all of those levers, but it's definitely worth it if you can secure the right asset. And I've bought plenty of those deals myself. If you look at the deals I bought in Ipswich this year, that's exactly what I bought. I bought Goldilocks properties where there was drivable side access, you know, Harold Street, 25 Harold Street. You can go back and watch the videos. 25 Harold Street and 18 Harold Street in Bundamba. Both have value add on the homes. Both have the ability to build a massive 4-bed, 2-bath homes in the backyard. And so that's what I'd be looking for if you want a Goldilocks property with all of the options. Cash flow or capital growth? What is better for the everyday investor? In my opinion, the formula is capital growth first, cash flow second. The reason is you might get an extra $100 a week if you buy that commercial property. But are you going to get the equity creation? Are you going to get the growth that's going to allow you to leverage and buy and grow your asset base? In my opinion, you should buy 2, 3, 4 residential assets, build your asset base, and then start to look to go for cash flow. Whether that's granny flats, unit blocks, or commercial property, that's the order I think most investors should go when it comes to building a property portfolio. And the truth is, you know, you dilly-dally between growth and cash flow. You kind of start with growth. I bought 3 properties with Emily that were growth focused. And then I bought the unit block. You know, that was balancing the equation out over time. And then I went back to growth properties. And now I'm going back. I just bought our commercial premises and pushing back to cash flow. So it's that balancing act over time. What is the show me the money strategy when it comes to property development? How can you make quick equity in a short timeline with low risk? Now, this one, not many people know. I'm doing these projects myself. This is strata title blocks here in Southeast Queensland. What these blocks are is locations where you can build a secondary dwelling, but sell off the front and back house separately without paying full subdivision fees. Essentially, the strata means that the fence between the properties is the common property, and it reduces the cost to do a secondary dwelling and sell the assets off separately. So if you want to show me the money and you want to create $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of equity and maybe sell off the front house to pay off the debt, that's where I'd look at a strata title development to create that cash fast. And I'm doing these projects myself. I've got 2 projects on the go at the moment with this strata title strategy. And it is not easy. You know, I make it sound easy when I'm shooting a reel that you can make really easy money, but it is, you have to be actively involved. Any development, you have to have a team around you and be actively involved to create that money. And that's what I'm looking to do myself over the next 12 months. Are off markets fact or fiction? Can you really get those deals from selling agents? Well, I've bought every deal I've ever purchased on market, but we do buy a good volume of properties off market. a lot of those off markets tend to be overpriced or have something really wrong with the asset, it needs major work or there's structural issues. But to get access to these deals, it's all about networking. Can you build relationships with the agents? Can you get access to these opportunities 2-3 days before they go to market, a week before they go to market, and make a very strong offer to secure that deal off market? We bought a recent off market deal for a client, and it was all about giving the sellers what they wanted and meeting them at the market price to secure that deal before it went to other potential parties. So that's my tip with off-market deals. And I think I'm gonna have to break this video into a 2-part series of 10 questions because I'm running out of steam real fast. So let's ask one more question and we'll wrap this one up at 10 hot property questions because I'm gonna burn out otherwise. What is my selling agent pet peeve? What's one thing that really annoys me as a buyer when I'm dealing with selling agents? The thing for me is lack of integrity and honesty. Unfortunately, there are some bad operators out there who are selling agents, and you'll get some agents that will tell you one thing and do another. It's my pet peeve as an investor myself and a Brisbane buyer's agent when someone says they're going to do something but doesn't actually follow through. And so, are they lying to you? Is it a gray area? You have no control over that. The only thing you can control is your side of the equation. So the way we deal with those agents as buyer's agents is we be kind, we be courteous, we be professional, we make the best possible offer we can, we push the agent for information and advice, and then let the situation play out. You can only control your side of the fence when it comes to annoying selling agents. And I've been in many situations where we've had tough selling agents to deal with where, there's always another offer that's come out of the woodwork at the death of it. And so I've even had some buyers not want to buy deals because the selling agent was so annoying and tough to deal with. Well, don't do that. Don't let the selling agent stop you from going out and buying the right property for your journey moving forward. Honestly, work with them as best you can. Be kind, courteous, professional, like I said, and try and get the deal done where it makes sense for you. If the price is too high or the deal's not right, walk away. There's always another fish in the sea. There's always another property that's going to come on market that will tick your major boxes of what you're looking for. And so that's been 10 hot property questions smashed out today with extra information here for you guys on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. If you want to see these reels, head over to Instagram and find Purpose Property. You can also follow me personally on Instagram at Luke Wiles, where you can see more content about myself and my family, and my beautiful 3 and 1-year-old boys, Asa and Eli. And if you're interested in my Christian podcast, that's called Unbound. So just type into Spotify or iTunes or YouTube, Unbound podcast, and you can see more about my faith and my walk with Jesus there. So this has been 10 hot property questions. I'm probably going to make another list of 10 very soon. So make sure you subscribe for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.